Welcome back to Shutdown Showdown. We're back with Senator Angus King, former governor of Maine and a relative newbie here in Washington, D.C. He's only been in the Senate for 10 months. And as an independent, he's got some interesting admirers, such as former independent Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura, who's considering, he says, a presidential run, and he might be looking for a running mate.
I would consider Senator Angus King from Maine, the former independent governor. He and I were the only two independent governors, so it very well could be a Ventura-King combination.
Have you talked to Angus King about this?
I have not.
So this is news to him right now if he's
listening.
listening.
Well, he knows that I'd pick him because he's the only guy I would trust.
Yay or nay? Are you on the ticket?
That's pretty good. You want to tell Jesse no? You tell him.
Yeah, but we didn't play the clip that he actually said beforehand that his first choice was Howard Stern.
Well,
at least you came before Baba Booey.
You had to pop my bubble so quickly.
Sorry.
No, Jesse and I were the Independent Governors Caucus. He is a real. He's a
If
great
he
guy.
actually ran, would you consider running with him?
Oh, we'll have to discuss that.
Wow, that's wide open.
Let's turn to back to our more serious topic.
You have been in Washington.
which is this the debt ceiling
I've
debate.
measured the drapes over at Biden's house.
Oh, have you?
Yeah.
Which is the debt ceiling debate, which is actually, I think probably we could agree, of more consequence than the government shutdown. We know that the government will reopen at some point. The question is, if we pass the date where we hit the debt ceiling, how bad would the damage be to the stock market? What else might happen? Who else wouldn't get paid? We were talking earlier about a potential short-term deal. President Obama and House Speaker John Boehner are likely to talk about tomorrow. I'm told that House Republicans are even considering introducing legislation tomorrow for a short-term deal to lift the debt ceiling. You have real skepticism about that.
Well, it just is going to make the markets skittish for another 6 weeks or whatever. I mean, I don't see why we can't just get that off the table. We don't have to speculate. I mean, I understand there are people who basically are denying that this is going to be a real problem. We don't have to speculate on that. In 2011, the stock market fell 2,000 points, 17% in just a few days. $2.4 trillion of wealth was wiped out in the country, and just in that week. Job creation went down, interest rates went up, mortgage rates went up. I mean, to even be talking about this is ridiculous.
But you know why we're talking about this. We're talking about this because the president has said, don't compromise. I'm not going to negotiate on anything. The speaker has said, you can't say you don't negotiate. So this is sort of a middle ground. And they get to keep the government shut down, by the way, which some of them
right, because this
do
would not include reopening the government.
Right, because they can say they made their point on Obamacare, and that's still hanging out there.
My view, I mean, you know, you've got these two things coming at the same time. You've got the government shutdown and you've got the debt ceiling. It just happens that they align, unfortunately.
Right.
In my view, we ought to pass the debt ceiling and move on. The shutdown, I don't like. I know, but you know.
We did ask him for his views.
You did ask me for my view.
That's why he's here. So
just a little reality
and
check
do
on that.
But do the negotiations around the budget. That's where you negotiate these kinds of things.
But the Senate hasn't. I know you haven't been here for all that long, but the Senate until this year had gone many years without doing a budget.
But that, you know, we passed a budget.
You have a bill that says if the Senate doesn't introduce a budget, senators don't get paid.
That's right, and I supported it.
Right.
And we passed a budget for the first time in 4 years. I think they've gone to the floor 18 times to move for conference on the budget, and a few Republicans block it every time.
So do you like your job? You've been here, what, 9 months, 10 months? As long as you and Ted Cruz, same class?
Well, listen, for somebody who is curious, likes public policy, and likes trying to fix things, yes. And I worked here 40 years ago as a staff member in the Senate. And to come back as a senator is almost surreal. But it is pretty, I mean, this week is pretty awful. I mean, there's no question about it.
Can I just turn the conversation back? We only have a minute left to the Paul Ryan op-ed, because I've heard Republicans talk about maybe this could be a big grand bargain. Maybe what we could get out of this is lifting the debt ceiling, reopening the government, normal funding levels, not the sequester levels that House Republicans want.
He even suggested in there were some ways to deal with the sequester.
Right.
But entitlement reforms and tax reform, is that something you think would be ultimately good for the country?
Yes. Yes. I mean, we do have to do something about the debt and the deficit. We do have to do something serious, although the deficit's coming way down. I don't, you know, it's fallen 60% in the last year. We're a lot better off than we were, but we have to do more, and I think what he's proposing is we ought to at least open that discussion.
We will leave it there. Senator Angus King, independent, independent of Maine, who caucuses with the Democrats. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate it. Dan